Hi everybody, Jessie here from jessiebanks.com and welcome back to my channel. So we're doing another swatching video. The last one you saw would have been the Schminke palettes. My Schminke palette. I'm going to go through all of my Jane Davenport palettes. So I have all three of them here. They are all 12-pound watercolor palettes. I have the pigment information for these two. I cannot find this one anywhere. I've asked and I'm hoping somebody tells me where I can get it so that I can put that onto our cards, but I do have the names there just for now. So I'm going to get set up here and we will jump into starting to make our swatches. Okay, so again I have my Princeton Neptune number 12 round brush. I like using synthetic brushes for my swatching. My silver black velvets are a mix of natural hair and synthetic hair. This is a mimic squirrel brush, but it is synthetic, so I prefer to use this when I'm doing my swatches. I'm going to start with this palette here. This is the neutral palette. It has 12 colors in it, and I'm going to pop it out of its case here, and we will start swatching. So starting from the top here, we have Mango. This is made of PY83. Now, her colors have cutesy names, so they're not like, you won't find like a phthalo blue or anything like that in her palette. Now I do believe these are marketed more to mixed media artists, not traditional artists. I'm not saying mixed media artists are not artists, do not come for me. I am just saying that in the traditional sense of the word artist, you expect to see phthalo blue and things of that nature, and these are not named in that direction. They have more cutesy names, and I'm not saying anything's wrong with that. I really enjoy these watercolors. They are marketed as artist grade. I would not call them artist grade. I would call them more of a student grade. Doesn't mean they're a bad paint, just personal opinions when I'm comparing them to things like Schminke and Daniel Smith and that nature. So our second color is a dual pigment color. This one is called Apple. It's a very beautiful red. It's kind of on the pinker side of red. I'm hoping to get this done before all of my lighting is gone and everything looks really, really bad. So this is made of PR12 and PR170. Our next one is called a Blueberry, and it is made of PB29. So it is a single pigment color. I do believe PB29 is ultramarine blue. I believe so. So this would be your ultramarine blue. She calls it Blueberry. We will do mass tone swatches on the side, just like in the Schminke video once it dries. And we will do some comparisons with my Schminke paints because this is the second set I'm doing since there. I'm going to zoom in just a hair here because I can. I have enough room to be able to. So our next color is Dove, and it's a gray tone. It is a 6 pigment combination, so it is made of PW6, PBK9, and PB29. So now what I notice with this set is all of your mixed tone colors are actually mixed with the single pigment colors in the same tin. So when you think about it, all of these colors that have more than one pigment, you should be able to make simply with what's already in this palette for single pigments. So like that Dove Gray is made of this white, this blue, and that black. We haven't swatched that black yet. So this is a transparent white. It is made with PW6, which I do believe is Chinese white. So I do find that a little frustrating that I'm not receiving anything new within the palette. I'm just receiving mixed versions of my single pigments from in the palette itself. Not saying it's a bad palette. I'll use it. Love the paints, like I said. Yeah. Just things I've noticed since getting these. I recently picked up this neutral set. The others I've had for a little while. So this is Vitamin C. This is super bright vivid orange. It's made with PO13. I don't know exactly what those pigments are singularly. I'm still learning all that kind of stuff, but I am learning a lot. If I have them in our thing, we'll find out. If I don't, we'll see if I can get something with that same pigment to compare to. So now Sand is PY6 and PY42. So we're going to swatch that one out and blend it down. So just getting a nice saturated swatch here up at the top. And again, like I do with my other ones, we will have that mass tone on the side following going through this palette. So there's that one. Our next color here is called Buff. So it is made with PW6, PO13, and PY42. So PY42 is not in this palette as a single pigment, so I am mistaken there. The rest of them are in here. Now, I'm not sure if PY42 is in another palette or not. I guess we'll see when we get there. I didn't really pay that much attention when I was filling out my swatch cards. And like I said, the Glitz-sea palette, I don't have that information as of yet. I'm hoping somebody will get back to me with it. But so Spice is PY42, PR101, and PB27. And PR101 is our next color here. That's a beautiful, kind of like a yellow ochre type color. It's really pretty. I kicked the table. I'm sorry about that. So Kiss Kiss is our PR101. So it's a very red brown. I think it's gorgeous. I think all paints are gorgeous. Who am I kidding? Who am I kidding, y'all? Who am I kidding? And then our last color is Cocoa. I think that's how you say it, even with the A on the end. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's a beautiful brown. I find it kind of seems to have a green undertone a little bit. Could be from the PBK9 because there is no green pigment in this one. But there she is. So now we're going to work on our mass tone swatches here. So we'll start with Mango, pick up a ton of pigment on the brush, and down this side. Next up is Apple. Not bad on transparency so far. See more once they dry and we go through them at the end. Blueberry. Really wish she would have used more professional terminology, especially considering they say these are artist grade. Although, like I said, in my humble personal opinion, I don't think they're artist grade. I think they're fantastic student grade paints. But being that she does claim them, they do claim them as artist grade, I do wish that she would have gone with like ultramarine blue, you know, burnt umber, that kind of thing. But this is our white. Now what I do notice with these paints is sometimes they come off in chunks and the paints themselves are pebbled on top. So I do believe it's just that the pigment isn't ground too well, which again is nothing bad. It's just, it's a student grade paint. Raven, which is our PBK9. So we'll see how this dries out and how dark it actually is. It is pretty gray on our gradient swatch, but you can see how black that is right now. Take a peek at it once it's dry. Vitamin C, which is PO13, which is a super bright crayon-y type orange. Can you guys see that chunk? That's what I'm talking about. And they seem to come up in all the colors the more I use them. I don't know. Like I said, maybe it's just that being student grade and whatever else, the pigments just aren't ground as fine as they are in some of my other colors. So this is Sand. Next up is Buff, which kind of seems like a Naples reddish type tone. Spice. Which is actually a lot more transparent than I thought it was going to be in mass tone. Kiss Kiss, which bled back really funny. but this one sat pretty flat, so it wasn't that it warped to cause it to do that, just the way the pigments must have reacted. This one was bent back, that's why it did that. I should fix that, but I probably won't. That's alright. It's just more for color swatching and to get the variation, so I'm okay with that. Hopefully this is not too opaque and that 9 comes back through. It probably won't, and I will probably have to add it underneath. So we're going to move these off to the side and we will go on to the next palette. Alright, I'm slowly losing light. I've plugged one artificial light in. It is not light. It should just help balance what is still available for daylight. Let's power through these. So this is the Brights palette. I do have my just little swatch sheet there, but I will pull out the palette itself and we will get to swatching. So here we go. That's our palette, and here is, let's zoom out just a hair. Here is our first card. So our first one up is a PY14. This, I have to pinch these in tighter so that they don't bounce around. Which is called a Buzzy. A super bright and vivid yellow. Blend that out. I think it's really pretty. Need to move a couple things so that I have room to put all of these. Next up is Ladybug, which is PR57:1. Now look at that color. Isn't that gorgeous? Super bright pink. Love it, love it, love it. Really happy to see single pigments in these palettes. That's always a bonus. Butterfly is PB15:3, which I do believe is phthalo blue-green shade. Don't quote me for sure. But it's a beautiful color. Okay, 70s eyeshadow is PB15:3, that previous one I swatched, and PG7, which will be the color following this. And that's where I have that little bit of a pet peeve of filling a palette with single pigment colors and then all of your dual pigment colors, like mixed pigments, are done with these same colors that are in that palette. It's just not my favorite way to do things, but that's okay. The colors are still pretty. So PG7, she calls hers Mermaid. Again with those cutesy names for her paint colors. There we go. Next up is Jiminy. So this is PY14 and PG7, so it's that first yellow, that buzzy color, and then this one that I just swatched before this. This is like a May green type color is what I would call it and compare it to. It might not be the same pigments that they use in those, but it is a similar green. Then we have Best Friend, which is PR81. It's kind of like an opera pink, I guess. I haven't looked at my opera pinks to see what the pigment used on them is. Like I said, I'm just getting into learning this pigment thing, so I'll get there. We'll figure it out together by the time we get through all of my paints. How's that? So Fairy Tale is also PR81. So these are the same pigment, so they just must be processed slightly differently to give you the two different colors. Both of them are bright. They are both beautiful. I know that the same pigment can be used in different ways to get you the same, like different colors using the same pigments with many pigments, so that doesn't surprise or bother me. Next up is Frida. Oh, let's get back in frame here, Jessie. And that is beautiful. That is gorgeous. Gorgeous. Next up is Mystic, which is PR81 and PV23. And it is a very beautiful purple. Lovely. I enjoy colors. So this is Royal, and it is the PV23. So it'll be one of these two, and this color makes that Mystic, and I'm going to assume it's this one. It's almost like a dioxazine, this Royal, so that's what I would compare it to. Again, I haven't swatched a dioxazine yet since I've been starting to pay attention to color palette, or to pigment colors, because all I did was the Schminke palette before this. I'm trying to jump back and forth in quality wise so people don't get bored and all of that, but it does kind of read like a dioxazine to me. And then this is ink, so this is PB27, PBK9, and PR101, and it is called Ink, and it is beautiful. It is a beautiful color. So pretty. Alright, now let's go and start our mass tones. I'm going to be reaching over just to get these. So starting off with our yellow here. Here's Buzzy at full intensity. Ladybug. I like to hold them up when I do this just because then I don't paint all over my table. Then we have Butterfly. I will grab my swatches from the Schminke one, and we will go through some of those to compare once I'm finished these and the last palette and they dry. So that is 70s eyeshadow. Here is Mermaid. Jimmy. Best Friend. That is like a neon pink. That is not going to be a light fast color. No. My dirty water is that ugly shade of brown you get when you mix everything together. Going to have to change that right away. I do have clean water there too. I always have 2 buckets, but it's time to clean it, or change it I should say. This is Frida in Mass Tone. Once I finish this one, I have to go do supper making because I'm sure Caleb wants to eat before he has skating tonight. So there's Mystic. Kind of reminds me of that purple that came in my Schminke palette. That just didn't get quite as dark as I wanted it to. But here's Royal. This one will be fun when I go through my Daniel Smith or my core paints and get to compare it to the dioxazine purple I have. I have dioxazine purple in my stone ground paint as well. And ink. Ink gets really dark. So there's that one. I'm going to put those swatches away and we will be back with the last palette. Alright, so this is the last Jane Davenport palette that she has right now, and it's the last one I have to do today. This is the Glitz-sea palette. Oh, that pan's falling out. We will put that back there. So this is the Glitz-sea palette. Now, I could not find the pigment information for this palette, so all I have is the names written on my little swatch cards here. So I don't have the pigment information. Like I said at the I want to get it, but I haven't heard back from anybody yet to see if it's available anywhere. So we're just going to swatch it like this to start. So our first one here is Water Spirit. So it is definitely like a kelpie green type color. I really like it. It'll be great for leaves and things on florals. So there's that one. Oh, look, it's rejecting paint there. Must have touched it too much. Okay, pardon the noise. That's the empty palette from that I took this out of. Next up is Sylph. I think that's how you say it. I have no idea. That's the one problem I have with these cutesy names is I learn how to pronounce all of the proper names like quinacridone, indanthrone, all of that kind of stuff. And then they throw in something like Sylph or Nereid. I have no idea, you guys. I have no idea. I know I'm whispering. You can't hear that. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to guess and say it's Nereid. I'm hoping I can get pigment information from somebody. So this is Ariel. Beautiful red. Very pretty red. This is Frolicsome. Then we have Tresses. Tresses. I think that's how it's said. I have no idea. It's like a lemon yellow. Blend that one out. Pitter patter. We're almost finished. This is Sea Nymph. I can say that. I can say Sea Nymph. See, guys? I can pronounce words. I do know how to speak English. I can talk. I can talk. I know I can talk. So, I don't know. These paints feel different than the other two palettes did. I think that was Dirty Water, so it's kind of a little greeny. But that's alright. Wipe some of it up. Then blend it down. There. Perfection. Or as perfect as it's gonna get, anyway. Enchantress. Ooh, that ticking. That's going to drive you all crazy if the mic is picking that up. That's a really pretty rich emerald green. Then we have Lorelei, because that's a paint color. Okay, I'm starting to get rude. I just wish that they would be a little bit more common names. See, and like this, I don't need two greens that read almost exactly the same in one palette. Like those are almost the same color. Similar enough that it's not going to matter in a painting anyway. And then we have Sea Mist. This ironically is the smoothest paint out of all three palettes in terms of what the actual pan looks like. So there's Sea Mist. Ooh, pushing things out of the way. Flirtatious. This one doesn't seem to read wet as easy. It's kind of like a potter's pink. It's a real pain in the bum to get going. It also shrunk a lot more than the other pans in the palette, as you can see with the gap on the edges of it. But like that's like as dark as I can get this thing to go. I'm going to put some paint on that, or some water on that, just to soak up for doing the mass tone swatch. And then the last one we have is Alchemy, which which is this one here on the end. Again, another, I don't know, another different type color. I like it. Oh, I picked up some green paint. Or some green or some blue or something like that. There's Alchemy. Okay. Now let's start on mass tones. So first up is Water Spirit. See, that's a pretty color. I like that color. I like it a lot, actually. Then we have Self. This palette is a little heavy on the greens. Now it is called Glitz-sea, like sea. So I'm assuming like mermaids and things, so it's kind of understandable. But it's real heavy on the greens. Nereid, this is the first one I had lots of issues trying to pronounce. Then there's Ariel. And I still love that red. Frolicsome. Tresses. Which is still awkward to say. I always want to say dresses. Sea Nymph. Which doesn't get very saturated. That's about as it's about as strong of a pigment load as I can get with it, and it's been soaking, so that's what it is. Then we have Enchantress. This just dried back because the paper was warped. No biggie. There we go. Lorelei. Oh, that's not Lorelei. That's Sea Mist. This is Lorelei. Oh my goodness. Stop with the noise. Stop with the noise. I do not have an accent. I think I'm starting to go crazy. I think this is the last swatching we will do for tonight, which is a good start on all of them because I got through two. I stuck my finger in that paint. Now Flirtatious. Let's hope that this loosened up a little bit. Well, it sat wet. Not holding my breath. Oh, quite a bit. That's considering how hard it was to re-wet, that's a decent pigment load. Again, it kind of reminds me of a Potter's Pink type color, and if you've ever used Potter's Pink, it's way better to use it direct out of the tube because when it dries it is very difficult to re-wet in any brand I have tried it in. And here is Alchemy, which is like a gold. It's very, very shimmery. I don't know how much of that it's going to pick up, but it's like a gold pigment. So there we go. Alright, so I'm going to clean up and tidy up here, put my water away and all of that jazz. And when I come back, we will have dry swatches to go through. Alright, so we have all our swatch cards here and they all are dry. They will all get mixed together, include in with my Schmincke ones here. This is the only other set I've done so far. But I do know that we have a few pigments that I recognize that I have in this one. If you haven't seen this swatching video and you're interested in the Schmincke 48 half pan palette, I will put that in the cards up here and you guys can check that out. But we're going to go through here. So this PY83, I don't have anything with that pigment in here. I want to keep these in order. I haven't photographed them yet. But, I mean, you're looking something. It's kind of, it's lighter than an Indian yellow, but it's quite similar to an Indian yellow here. So, or the Chrome Yellow Deep, but it's not the same pigment, so I'm just going to go through these and we'll check them out here. But like I said, some of these PB29, I know I have that in here. There it is. So Ultramarine Finest, so it's an ultramarine blue. Now this is where you can kind of see the difference in these. I know my coloring's kind of off. It's getting darker out as we're filming this, but the Schminke color is a little bit more vivid, not quite as dark. Now the pigment load on the mass tones is very similar. This is a brighter color. This one's a little bit deeper. This one granulates a little bit more. But on your washes, this one just appears more vivid. Now that's where the difference between student grade and artist grade comes into effect. But this is a beautiful color nonetheless. Dove Gray. So Unicorn will be your, oh no, that is your titanium white. So that is your transparent white. Or opaque white, pardon me. Yeah, opaque. I'm backwards. That's your opaque white, so that's your titanium white. Again, that's where I wish you would have used your typical watercolor names. Raven is PBK9, and that is the same as the Ivory. So that's an ivory black. So you can see how much more gray this one appears than this one. This one is definitely a lot more vivid black in the Schminke than it is in the Raven. Or than the Raven is in the Jane Davenport. Now I don't use a lot of black anyway, but that's there. PO13, I've never heard of that. Buff, this reminds me a lot of this one here, which is your Naples Yellow Reddish. So they're very similar. This one actually has less pigments in it than this one does. Now they're very, very close. Very close in color, so that's that one. And you have your Spice and your Kiss, which is PR101. I do have that pigment in here. PR201, that's the mixed pigments. I know I have that one. Right here. So that's English Venetian Red. Now again, this one just has a lot more luminosity and just comes to life a little bit more. But that's, again, the difference there. These are great paints. I will use these paints over and over and over again. Don't get me wrong. It's just a little bit of a comparison for everybody. I'm just hoping nobody screams and yells at me. Please don't. I don't think I have. Okay, so you have Buzzy. This is, what is it? PB15, so it's a phthalo blue. I would say this one is a lot more blue. This one is more on the warm side. So they're a little bit different, but they are the same pigment. This one is just the colon 3, and this one is just PB15. The next one I know I'm going to come up to is this one. So here is your two phthalo greens. This one is brighter. So the pigment load in this one is actually more than in my Schminke, I would say. Beautiful colors, you guys. Here is my comparison. Now this is PY14 instead of PY151, but they are both definitely like a May green. And this one, I said I thought was kind of similar to my purple in here. It's not. It's not. I mean, it's a similar tone. This one granulates a whole lot more. This one lays down a lot more solid. This is a single pigment color. This is a dual pigment color. So there's a big difference there. And then in this last one, these don't have, these don't have any information about them. This, I do believe, is kind of like a lemon yellow. It might even be more like a cadmium yellow, kind of in between. Pretty color, But my issue with this palette is I do not need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shades of green in a single palette. Okay? I don't need it. Not even close. Now this Flirtatious is kind of like a Potter's Pink or that Naples Yellow Reddish, but it does have a shimmer to it. There you go. It's kind of picking up. That's my coffee pot turning off. This is Alchemy. Now it's like a yellow ochre with a gold shimmer in it, whereas like Schminka's gold is just your gold shimmer. So you don't have any pigment load aside from the metallic. And this you kind of have both. So that's just a few swatches to compare. When I do like the next palette and stuff, I will be comparing everything. So we will pull these in and stuff, maybe for a couple. I don't want to hang on and do this part too much at the end. I am going to do a whole video about this kind of stuff where we're comparing colors once I photograph them all and put them in order. So, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And that was a look at all of the Jane Davenport watercolors. I can't reach the third one offhand. And yeah, I hope you guys liked it, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.